Welcome to Mushroom Investigates, where we skip the BS and summarize all you need to know in 10 minutes. Today, we're investigating the feral humans that live in the Appalachian Mountains. Before we dive in, just a quick disclaimer, none of the stories you're about to hear have been proven. These are legends, rumors, and myths, passed down through generations. Whether any of it is true or not, well, that's up for debate. So I'd love to hear what you think. If you've heard any creepy stories about the Appalachian Mountains, or you've had your own encounter with something strange, drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Feral humans. You know, the kind of people who don't quite fit into society, who've been living on the edge of civilization for so long. They're more animal than human. The stories about them are wild, and not the kind you'd hear from your friendly neighbor. These are the kind of legends that make you think twice before stepping into the woods. Feral families. The ones who have completely ditched society and decided to live out in the middle of nowhere, in the thick of the mountains. They're said to be completely self-sufficient, living off the land, building their homes with whatever they can find in the woods, and keeping to themselves. They speak their own language. Some say it's a mix of animal noises and old words that nobody understands anymore. There is a well-known story from a local hiker who stumbled upon an old cabin in the deep woods near West Virginia. He says he was getting an uneasy feeling as he approached, but when he got close enough, he saw a woman standing at the window, pale, wide-eyed, and staring out into the trees. When she noticed him, she disappeared into the shadows of the cabin. He bolted out of there, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched from every direction. Others have heard growls in the same area, and some say the family members who live there are still out there, waiting for the wrong person to come too close. Next, we've got the lone wanderers. These are the individuals who are out there living on their own, completely cut off from the world. They're the ones you don't hear about too much, because most people who encounter them don't get the chance to tell their stories. If you're out hiking or exploring, you might spot someone walking through the woods, but something about them just doesn't seem right. One of the creepiest sightings comes from a couple who are camping near the Appalachian Trail. They were sitting around their fire when they saw a man walking through the trees. He was hunched over, moving slowly, his face hidden by a hood. The couple waved to him, but he didn't respond. He just kept walking, not even acknowledging them. After a few moments, he turned and vanished into the woods. They called out again, but never heard a sound. Some say these wanderers are part of the forest now. They don't want to be bothered by people who don't belong. And then of course there's the myth of the mountain beasts. These are probably the creepiest stories because we're talking about half human, half animal creatures. Imagine something that used to be a human, but the wilderness changed it over generations. These creatures are strong, vast, huge, covered in hair, and with the kind of intelligence that makes them dangerous. There's an old story that's been passed around for years in Kentucky. A group of hunters claimed they encountered a massive hairy creature while tracking deer in the forest. They said it was walking on two legs like a man, but its face was covered in dark fur. Its eyes were glowing red in the night. One of the hunters described it as too intelligent to be an animal, and the group said it followed them through the woods, watching from a distance, but never attacking. After hours of walking, they finally made it back to their camp. They swear that thing never stopped following them. There are also stories of creatures that are somewhere in between, only part human and part animal. These ones are described as having human-like bodies, but only animal features. Some say that they've been lurking in caves or abandoned cabins for ages, and if you're lucky enough to wander too close, you might catch a glimpse of them. One chilling tale comes from a group of hikers in Tennessee who found an old cabin deep in the forest. They heard strange sounds from inside, like scratching, dragging, and low growls. One of them decided to investigate and saw a figure moving around inside the cabin through a small crack in the door. What he saw was beyond belief. A large, hunched figure with wild, glowing eyes and long, sharp claws scraping against the wooden floor. They ran out of there as fast as they could, but the scratches on the door and the strange, heavy footprints outside told them that something just wasn't right. Now, if you've ever explored the mountains, you might have stumbled across some old abandoned settlements. Places that used to be towns or farms, but are now nothing but ruins. These places are creepy enough on their own, but the stories say that these abandoned towns were once home to families who went feral. They say these people didn't just leave, but they were driven out by something far worse. One story tells of a group of explorers who ventured into an old settlement near the Smoky Mountains. They found signs of life, old tools, fire pits, and even old clothes, but no people. As they went deeper into the settlement, they began hearing strange noises, footsteps, whispers, and the sound of something moving through the trees around them. They never saw anyone, but one of the explorers swore he saw a shadow pass by one of the windows in a nearby cabin. Finally, we come to the most chilling of them all, the wild children. These are the stories of kids who are said to be raised by the wilderness itself. Some believe they were abandoned by their families. Others think that they were simply born into the wild and never had a chance to be raised by humans. These kids, when found, are often unrecognizable as human beings. One haunting story comes from a hunter in North Carolina who encountered a child near an old creek. He said the child was about 8 or 9 years old, completely naked and covered in dirt. The child had strange, wild eyes and moved in a way that was more animal than human, crawling on all fours, grabbing at the trees like a primate. The hunter approached cautiously, but when the child saw him, it hissed and darted off into the trees at an incredible speed. The hunter never found the child again. The truth? Do these feral humans really exist? Maybe, maybe not. These stories have been around for centuries, and there's still a lot we don't know about the wilderness around us. There's always something out there, something that feels like it doesn't belong. So next time you're in the Appalachian Mountains, take a moment to think about it. What's really out there, just beyond the trees? Could some of these stories be true? Or are they just the stuff of legends? Either way, they'll keep haunting the woods. And who knows, you might just run into one of them if you're not careful.